Holy shit. It is the week. It is upon us. Week 1 is finally fucking here, Pat.
Oh
Thank
yeah,
God.
baby.
It's been forever. No more preseason bullshit. No more waiting during the training camp or off season. Week 1 kicks off on Thursday. What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us and welcome to Elite Fantasy Nation podcast. I'm your host, Matt Dennis. You can follow me at Fantasy Matt EFN. That's my boy from another mother, Pat Wendelken. You can follow him at CityStars136. What is up, my dude? How you been, man?
Not much, man. Got a nice long weekend. Nice break in the action. Feels good. Love it.
Yeah, hell yeah. We're recording this Monday, so Labor Day. So appreciate you jumping on. We were going to try to do the recording yesterday, but I was too hungover, laying on the couch, recovering from draft night and then party night afterwards, and definitely felt like shit. As you get older, Pat, hangovers suck. They always suck, but it definitely sucks. So I
Agreed
think I'm
on
going to
that
have a
one.
little detox, couple of days, week, month, whatever. We'll see how long it goes. But dude, I can't believe it, man. We could wait all off season, and it's finally here, man. Week 1, dude. There's a litany
This is it.
of teams and games that we're going to talk through here in a little bit that we're excited about, but we are finally here. Before we jump into this week's episode, we'll have Pat here in a second do the news and injuries. There's only a few. We'll talk through those. Then we're going to talk through the excitement that we have for Week 1. What games are we most excited about? What players are we most excited about? There's a
Yes,
lot of
sir.
questions and a lot of ambiguity about certain teams, maybe certain roles that people have on certain teams. So we're going to talk through that. Rookies that we're excited about. So have a big kind of slate open of basically just a riffing conversation. I'm Pat myself going through. And we've got, kind of some notes to help guide us along the way. But in general, we just want to have a conversation, man, about our excitement and what
Some
we're looking
freestyle,
forward to
baby.
see. It is Freestyle Day. It is Labor Day. And hell yeah. Pat, you take the mic. Take us through the news, bro.
So we'll go nice and easy through his news. Not a lot. Some of it you know, some of you do not know, or most of it you should know actually. First off, Brandon Ayuk, 4 years, $120 million, 76
Cha-ching.
guaranteed, bro. So he's happy. Matt and I were speaking about this earlier. That it's a big happy family in San Francisco. Now it's just get ready to play ball and see how they distribute the ball, and
Yeah.
should be all green lights to go. So if you haven't
We,
drafted him at an earlier pace, you can now, because at least he's going to show up and he will be playing.
Hell yeah. And, talk about a roller coaster. But before we go on again, I always forget this, Pat. Hit the like and
Oh yeah,
subscribe button down at the bottom. We're at 102 subscribers. Thank you very
please.
much for everybody that's got us there. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe. Also follow us on the All In on South Harmon feed for our audio podcast. We're about to drop one again on Wednesday. So, yeah, but talk about a roller coaster, Pat. I mean, Brendan Ayuk goes from like, pay me to San Francisco saying made him an offer. He didn't like it. Then Ayuk demanding a trade, them getting trade offers for said player, Ayuk turning all those down because he don't want to play for those teams for whatever reason. That's his choice. And then them going back to the drawing table, having a conversation again, and here he comes out with a $120 million 4-year contract. I
Oh
think he
yeah,
becomes the fifth highest paid wide receiver.
he's like right in
Um,
the middle there.
yeah, like $30 million a year. So kind of crazy, like how that whole situation is gone about. Hopefully they've mended fences, but where do you look at them between Ayuk and Debo? How do you value those two? Who do you like more if you're drafting? Like we said, this is Monday. There's drafts happening. I've got a draft tonight. You've got a draft tomorrow.
Yep.
So people are definitely like spinning their draft wheels. So where does this put Ayuk in your
So
thought?
Ayuk, I would put him in like that. He's definitely like that high second tier for sure. Like
Okay.
kind of tying out of the first rounds, like kind of like I can see him like the 20s. I guess you could say like late teens, early 20s. That's where I would put him in the draft. So
And
depending where you're
overall,
sitting, bro, I wouldn't let him. Yeah, I wouldn't let him slide much more. Like, bro, maybe in the second round, he's been usually going from what I've seen, like that, like mid to late second round, kind of blending him in like with the Diggs, kind of towards the end of the Diggs era over in that area. So I think he'll be fine. He's green light to go. So I would absolutely take him on my team. I see nothing wrong.
do you like him or like who do you like better between him and Debo? Obviously, the offense hasn't really changed from
Um,
where it was last year. He's still
I,
there, didn't
I
move.
would go with Debo because he's been in practice, so I think he has his reps and
Okay.
he's fully conditioned. That's my opinion. I would stick with more of the man that's been there from the beginning and he's game time ready. Ayuk, I'm sure he's in shape. He's going to do well, but like we've always told you, practice reps, first team reps go a long way,
Okay.
no matter
Yeah.
what.
I'm going to throw, before you keep going on there, you've got a few more news that you want to hit on. But before you go on, let me ask you a couple more questions just from a positional draft. Okay. Brendan Ayuk or DJ Moore? You're on the clock.
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore? Okay.
Yes.
Brendan Ayuk, Michael Pittman.
That's a tough one because I don't that quarterback question. I'll go Ayuk on this one actually. I think I
Okay.
would rather go with more reliability versus that because Richardson's health is a big question mark for me.
Yeah, and also just like Richardson did not look that great in the preseason. Not saying he can't get better,
Yeah.
but yeah, that passing offense did not look great. Last one, and then we'll move on. Everybody's talking about this guy as the top rookie in the draft class. So Brendan Ayuk or Malik Neighbors.
Brandon Ayuk.
All right, I agree with all those. All right, cool. Just thought I want to kind of put into perspective of where you
Yeah,
value him. So
for
I agree with
sure.
everything you just said as far as positional drafting. So, all right, man, keep going.
All right. So this is big for the last minute. People are drafting, and you see this episode today. Jamar Chase wanting a penny over the Justin Jefferson highest paid
Still
wide
shit's going
receiver.
on.
Like I said, like we spoke about this, Zach Taylor opening his mouth and then, made him feel like he's like, flexing. So Jamar flexed harder and he's like, okay, then I'm not showing up again. You think it's that easy? No problem. So I don't know, man. Like, does he hold out? Will he play? I think he should play. He has 2 years left. Like, I mean,
He
people
has
are
two
getting a
years.
little
He's got
greedy
no
with his
leverage,
contract,
dude. He's
bro.
got no leverage at
Yeah.
all.
So, uh, let's put it this way: if he doesn't play or he does hold out foolishly, T. Higgins stock will skyrocket. Jermaine Burton's going to skyrocket. Dude, it's going to be a lot of different things will change in Cincinnati. Do I think he will? No, but he hasn't had any real reps also, and he had
And
injury last year. So you got to include all these factors where you draft him. He's always in that 5, 6, 7 range in redraft right now.
yeah,
And I
and
did not. I took him in one league, and then in another league I have not. And I'm going to be drafting next week. So if he doesn't get his money, or he's holding out, I will move on to Amon-Ra St. Brown if he's available.
yeah, and that's kind of, I had a draft on Saturday. This is a draft that ended up going to Saturday night partying and going out. And I was at the 5 spot. I actually picked a 5 spot thinking that I wouldn't really have to worry about Chase. I was hoping somebody would take him before it got to me, but I was left with the choice of Chase, Jefferson, and St. Brown. And I literally sat there. It was a 2-minute clock. I think I took a minute and 55 seconds. And I finally was like, Jefferson, I'm not in on. I think out of the 3, I mean, I'm in on him at a cost. I should say that. I want to highlight that. But between the 3, I actually have Jefferson the least favorite. I took Chase. I really wish I would have taken St. Brown, to be honest with you. I think Chase has better upside. But I think right now, with everything going on in Cincinnati, we know what Amon St. Brown is going to be. We know in that offense, nothing's really changed. He's going to be the number 1 in that offense. It's a high-power passing offense. He's shown the ability to be wide receiver 5, and be an elite wide receiver. This is St. Brown we're talking about. So I would rather take the known than the unknown. And the biggest fear that I have, and we talked about this as well, is Chase. And like without getting the reps, I get your elite wide receiver. You train, you got your boys that you do stuff with, but that's much different than being in game speed, having DBs that are on you, pushing you, pulling you, having to cut, as aggressively as you have to cut in real life situations, game situations. There's a lot could happen, and he is coming off a major injury. It cost him most of last year. So it concerns me, dude. I mean, it's not you've got 2 chasers hanging up behind you. Hopefully he mans up this week and shows up. I think tomorrow, Tuesday, and even Wednesday will be big days if he's not at practice or does not participate in practice. I would be scared of drafting him in the top 10, to be honest with you, because that just does not bode well, in my opinion. So
Agreed very much, my friend. Not on good news, but Ricky Pearsall was shot in the chest the other day.
crazy,
Actually,
dude. This is crazy.
as I was in the middle of the draft on Saturday night, we got the news. Bullet went through his chest, out his back. Daytime robbery, downtown San Francisco, asking for his Rolex, and clearly shot him. And the gentleman was apprehended, thank God. And he is also out of the hospital. That is Mr. Ricky Pearsall, and will make full recovery. Missed all vital organs, and nothing was damaged. So super crazy, super lucky. So like I said, you gotta just crazy times in certain places, and you gotta keep your eyes focused. Like you said, Matt, this is just a weird time. But thank God he's okay, and he'll be able to play football again, which is the best part about it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, a lot changes for Ricky Pearsall with Ayuk not only signing, but then obviously getting shot. I'm sure I've never been shot, obviously, but that's not something that, you're just gonna wake up the next day and you're fine. I mean, it's obviously gonna be a recovery that goes with it, even though,
Oof.
like you mentioned, was able to leave the hospital, so it's obviously not life threatening. It means he will fully recover, but it's also the pain that he's going through. Um, it makes I don't know if they'll hold him out for the next week. This is all unknown. We'll figure that out over the next couple of days. But
Yep.
obviously, his stock, Ricky Pearsall's stock, is dropping. But more importantly, he's good. He survived or what's a horrific incident, and wishing him the best of a recovery and speedy recovery. And it sucks, man. You got to be careful. You always got to keep your eyes open on what's going on. There's a lot of shady ass people in this world. So yeah, just a shame for him. Sucks. But yeah, good luck
All right.
and speedy recovery, Ricky Pearsall. What else you got?
Yeah, man. And the last but not least is Jacoby Brissett has the official starting role in New England. So there you go. It's a very light news week, but
Yeah,
it's
but yeah,
important to know. Just add that last little touch for the last quarterback that was never really decided as the starter.
yeah, but last one to kind of decide as far as the team goes. But fantasy advice: if you've got Jacoby Brissett on any of your fantasy teams, now it's the time to trade him. Get a second, whatever you can get. A second and a third, 2/3. Because I doubt. We talked about this. Pat and I did on the All In podcast. We don't think he's going to be anywhere near the starter for that long. You're going to have there'll be a transition at some point to Drake May. So we'll see how long that happens or how quickly that goes about. But he will not be the starter for the whole season. So maybe after the
Agreed.
first week, if he has a decent game per set, trade him away, get whatever you can get, and move on. That'd be our
Yeah,
biggest
that's it.
advice, man.
Let him go.
Oh yeah, let him go. So we're good, man. That
All
was
right,
it,
man.
right?
What we
Very
got,
short.
bro? Easy.
I
Let's
love
get
it. I
into the
love it.
good stuff.
So we talked about, like we said, it's week one. So there's a lot of things that are going on this week. A lot of exciting games, actually. So as far as NFL, I feel like they did a pretty damn good job doing some matchups for this week. So Pat and I were just thinking we'd just go through some thoughts on like what games we're excited about, players we're excited to see. I think on certain teams, there's question marks about either the backfield or the wide receiver room, or even the quarterback situation as well. We talked about that, with coming off of New England. So just thought we'd kind of go and riff and go back and forth and have it just be kind of a ebb and flow episode where we're just going through. I've got some questions keyed up for Pat, but want this to kind of go as it goes and take the conversation wherever we need to. So first question I have for you, Pat, out of the games, and maybe pick two. Let's limit it to two each.
Sure.
What are the games that you're most excited about this week and the slate? And again, there's some really awesome game setups and some team matchups that we have slated. So pick maybe two, three at most, and let's talk about those
Yeah.
and kind of why you're excited about them and what you're looking forward to seeing.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball. I'm gonna go to Jets and Niners because since
Ooh,
Aaron Rodgers ran with that American flag on 9/11 last year and didn't make it past his first set.
four
I
snaps,
want
four
to
snaps.
let's see what it is now. Like, what is this? What they are supposed to be? Like, is this the Super Bowl running Jets? Will
That's
the
fair.
AFC have their fearless leader come out, and will Garrett Wilson be this crazy number one that he's supposed to be where he's being drafted? You know what I mean? Like, let's see what Brees Hall could do with a full engine running with all of his people around him. So with a top three defense behind them. So I'm pumped to see what the Jets have to do.
I love the curveball. Honestly, dude, I think it's a great conversation because, as I'm looking at, certain rankings and everything, they've got, certain people have Garrett Wilson in tier two, near AJ Brown and Puka Nacua. If you go to Fantasy Pros, that's kind of where they have him listed at from a draft perspective in your draft. Garrett Wilson in between, like I said, AJ Brown and Puka Nacua in tier two. Yeah, I mean, some people have him as a wide receiver. That's a wide receiver 7. Some people have him as high up as a wide receiver, potentially 4, or not 4, but like as 5 or 6. Is the highest
Yeah, I
that
can
I've
see
seen
that.
him. Especially the Chase conversation and Jefferson and what that looks like.
I think he moves up for sure between with those two question marks. I took him at 9.
Okay, who's left on the board when you took him at 9? Let's
Shit,
talk about that.
man, you're gonna make a really. I'll look real quick.
So you
Give
pull
me a
up
second.
while you're
Yeah,
I'll kind of like take the lead here for a second. But I mean, again, you got St. Brown. So the top six call. You got CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. I think people all agree that the top two at this point. Chase,
So
Amon and Brown, Justin Jefferson are, you can kind of mix those guys around. Then you got AJ and Garrett Wilson. So that's kind of like the top seven that Fantasy Pros has. But
yeah.
who's left on the board? Who did you take him over?
So Lamb was first off. Tariq is two. I mean, this is not in order, but I'm saying these are just the wide receivers getting off.
Just wide
so it's
receivers.
Lamb, Hill, St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Jamar
Chase
Chase.
went 5. So see, that goes to show you
yes, he even backed off even more. And then I took Garrett Wilson next.
over AJ Brown.
Yeah, and then AJ Brown went behind me, and then after that, coming back around, went Marvin Harrison, Olave, Nakua, then Drake London.
Okay.
So that's where it is. So I like I said, I think this is just it's not a boomer bust. It's just like I think he's just got to take off. It's just how it's all dependent on his fearless leader and Aaron Rodgers and his health, which I think he should be fine, man. I really do. I think this is a year where he's gonna crack well over 1,000 yards. I'm gonna say,
yeah,
I can see like a 1,400 yard season. That's what I'm gonna
for
put
Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, yes. We're talking about. Okay,
yeah, 1,400 yards. I'm gonna go boldly 15 touchdowns or something like that.
15 touchdowns? That's insane, dude. That's a shit ton.
Why
of touchdowns.
Not? I'm going bold. Right. I said bold. It's a bold prediction.
That's almost bold, crazy bold. That's almost bold, crazy bold.
It's almost a touchdown a game, you know what I mean? But you never know. It can happen.
Yeah. We'll see. I'd have to look at the most. We'll get to some other questions, and we'll look at the most touchdowns ever scored by a wide receiver and see if it's even close to 15. All right, so that was one game. I agree with you. I think just even seeing Aaron Rodgers, like there was a lot of hype last year, like you said, 4 plays into it. They also played on a Monday night last year. Obviously, the date was different. It wasn't September 9th. It'll be this year instead of September 11th. But in general, there's a lot of hype. And honestly, they gave him a great matchup again. So
I got an answer to your question, by the way.
The Jets are playing – hold on one second. The Jets are playing the 49ers. So you also go to like 2 very good defenses. To see, how that's going to hold up. The Jets defense is supposed to be elite this year, like they were last year. I think that's going to be a very exciting game for Monday Night Football. So what's the answer to the most touchdowns by wide receiver?
23, Randy Moss. So it makes it look reasonable compared to what you thought. If I was to like 27, then it'd be, wow, no one's even done it. But we could do it.
All right. I like the boldness. Okay, what else you got? What other game you got?
So my second game, there's so many, which sucks because we have so many.
I know. From. I made you edit it this time because we kept
it's okay. So no. I love it. So I'm gonna make it even more, and this is for me for fantasy value. And I'm not gonna steal your shine because I'm gonna let you have your boys because that's what you want. I'm gonna take the Commanders and Bucks because I have a lot of questions with the Commanders backfield, and I have Brian Robinson investments in a lot of places, along with Jaden Daniels. To be honest with you, so I want to kind of see how that pans out. Like I got to see the flow of the rookie, the new ownership. There's a lot of new things going on down in Maryland. So let's see how this goes. And honestly, I'm really want to see how it, is Eckler going to take away from Robinson or not? Because you can get Brian Robinson as steal right now in a lot of drafts because he has the potential of being that number one. So that's why it's like, can that be the true number one? And if I got him where I got him in my other drafts, like in that like 8 round, 8, 7 to 9 is like kind of like the frame of where he's going. That's a steal for a solid number one. Why not?
Well, and even I agree with you about the backfield scene where that goes with Eckler and Brian Robinson, but even you could say the quarterback, is Jacoby Brissett. Like
Jane.
Is he? Oh, I mean, Jaden Daniels. Sorry, is Jaden Daniels going to be the guy? I don't know why. Like in my brain, I always get Washington and New England always flips for some reason in my brain. So yeah, Jaden Daniels. I mean, number 2 overall draft pick. I'm still worried about his size. I've said it from day one. He's a very, very frail size guy. I mean, I watched a couple of the preseason games. He looks like Devontae Smith in the backfield playing quarterback, and I don't know if I want somebody that small playing quarterback and getting hit by 300
He's tiny
linemen.
for sure.
He's tiny.
Skinny.
He's like so
definitely
tiny.
Not a big guy. Listen, I'm excited though. Like I said, for fantasy value wise and investment, I have to. That's a game I'm actually going to be watching. I know it doesn't sound the sexiest pick of the week versus Buccaneers, but still, I gotta keep it for fantasy value, dude. I'm all in, baby. This is it. We are the elite for a reason. So I gotta track my guys from the start.
Yeah, and it's not the sexiest. It's not probably the ones that I would have gone. I think there's some other ones that probably have a little bit
Oh, for
more of a
sure.
high life.
Well, if you give me a third one, I got another one,
All right,
but,
we'll do. I'll give you
if
one
you
more.
let me have it.
I'll
All
toss
right.
you one more.
So I'm gonna take the Cardinals Bills with a lot of rookie
Okay.
action. That's the other one I'm excited for. But like I said, I
So
have
talk us through it.
Keenan Coleman. Keenan Coleman, boom, first right off the rookie that I think is gonna have an explosive year. That's
Is he?
Stephon
Well,
Diggs replacement.
is he gonna fill that Diggs role?
Could
That's a
it
big
be
question.
there? Yeah,
Yep.
that's a big question mark.
Dalton
Dalton
Kincaid too.
Kincaid. Oh yeah,
Fucking.
you just took it right out there, dude. That we'll see how that goes with the Josh Allen. Like I'm gonna be a lot of good stuff going on over there. So that now on the other
Well,
side, the
even the
Cardinals.
running, like the other question
Oh
that you
yeah,
have
could say
too.
the running game.
Well, running game for one, but I was about to go there, but actually I'm going to change. Josh Allen, you just said it. So Josh Allen, before Stephon Diggs came to the team, was considered a bust almost. From a fantasy perspective, it was oh my god, is this guy ever going to amount to anything after year two? He was not looking great. So his career obviously changed when Dable was there, and then also on top of that, changed when they got Diggs. The year that they got Diggs is when you saw Josh Allen become Josh Allen, like number 2 quarterback on the board as far as dynasty, number 3 at the farthest. Without
Yep.
Diggs, where is he going to end up falling? Is he going to have the elite upside that he's always had? With Keon Coleman, who is a 1-year kind of wonder in college, is he going to be able to be the lead dog? Is he going to be good enough to like support Josh Allen the way that he needs to be supported? So Dalton Kincaid, I think, was going to have a massive jump this year. I think he's going to be probably one of the biggest outlets for Josh Allen, but that's probably the biggest question because I have Allen in a couple of spots in Dynasty, and it's the more that I've been thinking about it, the more I'm starting to get a little worried if like he's even going to be a quarterback 5 or quarterback 6 this year. So he could easily fall down quite a few tiers if things don't play out right. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of starts out.
For sure. And then, like I was saying, on the Cardinal side, does Kyler Murray excel with the new group?
And Marvin
That's the
Harrison,
best way to
dude.
describe it.
Oh,
Yeah, Marvin Harrison ever is here. So what do they do? How does Connor hold up? Does Benson get time? Like does Trey
Trey
McBride
McBride.
look
Yep.
that much better? You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions over there that I'm like, gotta see how it pans out. So that's another game to keep an eye on. And I think a lot of people have a lot of fantasy investments in that game.
Well, when you go Trey McBride too, it's like Marvin Harrison only adds to taking away the coverage from Trey McBride. So it should even open up the field in the middle where Trey McBride's going to live, knowing that Marvin Harrison's out, and the wide receiver flanked out, and it's like they're going to have to cover him because he's got elite speed. He's an amazing wide receiver, can run any route, So it's like, how does that open up, the opportunities for McBride, and is he going to take a jump this year? The running game, which you talked about, as well. I think that's also a big key. So yeah, there's a lot of Kyler Murray being healthy again. I don't know if I forgot if you mentioned that, but
yeah, that's why I said Kyler Murray. How does he
yeah,
act with all his new
with
teammates
the whole
and new
season.
setup?
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the whole
can he
season.
survive?
Exactly. And can he not even survive? Can he thrive? And will he, you talk about Josh Allen across the way. Will Kyler Murray surpass Josh Allen by the end of the season with given the weapons that he has and also a full season? And that's also a conversation. I think if you look at the redraft or the startup drafts right now, look at where Kyler Murray is going. And like he's not valued that high. He's, pretty much down there at like quarterback, I want to say 7, 8, 9, depending on where you're drafting.
Yep.
But definitely does not have the elite standing right now that he once did. So is he going to be able to jump up with this elite receiving core now in his grasp? So yeah, I love both those. I love the third one that you added. It's a good one.
Yeah, man. Gotta try something a little different, man.
Yeah,
All right, Mac.
yeah.
You give me your 3, bro. What do you got for me and for the people?
I'm gonna hold off on the 2 primetime games that kick off the season. I think everybody knows that those are gonna be doozies. So I'm gonna stay away from those. The first one I'm gonna highlight is just because it's been on both these teams has been massive changes and there's a lot of big question marks. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons. So Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Atlanta Falcons at home. So a lot of us, we'll go to Falcons first. Whole new regime there as far as coaching staff. Bringing in obviously 2 quarterbacks, not even one. You bring in Kirk Cousins, Kirk O'Chains, and you bring in obviously they drafted Penix. So you've got whole new, elite quarterback options. How is that going to be, or how are they going to utilize the offensive weapons? Little has been talking about this, man. Cousins hasn't done anything in preseason as far as like played in a preseason game. Is he going to be fully healthy week 1? I mean, they're saying that he'll be ready to go. He looks good, but I mean, I haven't seen him out there. Who knows what it'll look like? I haven't really watched a lot of Atlanta preseason, training camp. So not sure how much he's getting there, but I know Penix is getting a lot of looks in preseason games. Is Cousins going to be healthy for week one? Is it going to be,
Yeah.
how are they going to work in Penix? Are they going to wait and just have Penix sit for the first year ish or even first couple of games? Or are they going to work him in a couple of games here and there and a couple of schemes or plays? So I think that'd be interesting. Everybody's very high on Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Is that really going to come to fruition, or is it going to be another year of disappointment with those two guys? You have Bijan Robinson, who they're obviously going to get the ball to a lot. I think he's going to be having a massive year this year. Nobody's fucking around anymore with Bijan. They're going to utilize him as a first-round draft pick, and all the first-round draft picks that Atlanta's had over the past 3 years. Are they actually going to utilize these offensive weapons and elite offensive weapons? Let's talk about that. When we talk about elite fantasy nation, these are elite fantasy weapons that were all drafted in the first round: running back, tight end, and wide receiver. Never fully utilized. Is this going to be the year finally?
Yeah,
and then
I agree.
And then Pittsburgh, dude. Like, two quarterbacks. You go from Atlanta, who's like got an elite quarterback room, to Pittsburgh, who neither of the quarterbacks are good at all, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields.
Oof.
How is that going to affect the receivers in that offense? How is that going to affect the running game? If you can't pass, you're going to have defenses creeping up, and then you've got a running backfield, and are they going to be able to utilize the run game as much as they can? Is this finally going to be the year where Tomlin has a losing record, at the end of the year with these two quarterbacks? So that's one that I'm probably most excited about, because I feel like there's a lot of question marks, a lot of unknowns that we just need to see how
For
these play
sure.
out. So what do you
I
think about
agree.
that game?
I agree. During my draft, and what we've been talking about actually a lot, is the Warren Najee
Oh,
situation.
yes.
That's
Warren
been
still being
huge.
injured, still has a
Warren
slight
Switzer,
injury.
so Najee Harris has a starting role. How long does it last for? How is this offense going to look? Are they going to go by split back by committee? There's a lot of questions going on there. You know what I mean? So, it's all to be seen and what's going to go on. So you picked a great game, if you ask me. I love that one. Who's your
Yeah.
second one on that crystal ball of yours?
I'm gonna jump to. We'll do like you said. There's a lot, dude. I mean, honestly, we're kind
Oh
of
yeah,
jumping in there. There's a lot, but we'll jump to games and then we can jump to individual players besides this. But um, the Panthers and the Saints. And the main reason is like with the Panthers, obviously have Bryce Young did not look like an elite quarterback last year. He looked really bad. He looked like a massive bust, to be honest with you. Is he actually going to be able to turn that around now that they got some weapons for him? They've got Deontay Johnson that they brought in. They also drafted Xavier Legette. What is that going to look like? Is it going to be a turnaround year for Bryce Young? They've built the
yep,
offensive line a little bit better, so hopefully he doesn't have that issue that he had last year. So that's another one that I'm kind of curious to see, just to see, hopefully, for Carolina, that they can turn it around, because they have not looked good. Bryce has not looked good all last year. He had a couple of games where he looked like he might be okay, and then did not look so good. Then in the backfield in that particular offense, you've got Jonathan Brooks, who's just drafted, ACL injury, so he's not going to be playing for the first couple of weeks. But Chuba Hubbard, is he still going to be a good fantasy option? And then you've got, Jonathan Mingo and a couple of other flyers. But yeah, basically the Carolina Panthers. And then, like I said, the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr is obviously still going to be the quarterback for the Saints. But, I mean, is Chris Olave, is he going to be able to take another step forward this year? Or is it still going to be another middling kind of year for a wide receiver who came out as a rookie and was looked at as being one of the top rookies in the draft class? And just because the quarterback
yes,
play really has not lived up to it, So is he going to be able to kind of take another step forward? Is Derek Carr going to be able to amp it up a little bit and give him more fantasy viability than what he's shown in the past year? And then you could also look even in the backfield too. So, you've got Kamara. Is Kamara finally is this the year where he's going to fall off the cliff? Kendry Miller, who they don't seem to like at all, who looked like a great
yeah,
draft prospect
no,
coming out last year. Like, they don't seem, coaching staff talking kind of shit about Kendry Miller, about him never being available, or how can you be excited about somebody if he's never available, was one of the responses. So yeah, and then Joan Johnson, I think as a tight end, I think is a pretty good option if you're lower in the draft, and you've punted on tight end for a while. You could use Johnson a little bit. So what do you think about those? Are a little bit more of a kind of a, I'm picking teams that are like very much question marks, because I feel like that's the one things that I want to find out the most about from a fantasy perspective. So what do you think about those two teams that you're most excited, or question mark that you have biggest on your list for those two?
yeah. I mean, I have Kamara stock actually in one of the leagues I drafted. It was actually the one we're in
What
Canton.
round?
So
What round did you draft him in?
I think I got him fourth. I want to say fourth round. I think I got Alvin Kamara, fourth
Okay.
or fifth. He was
You felt like it
down. It
was
was like,
worth the value at that point.
yeah, where he was. I'm like, you know what? He's sitting here. I got to take him. He's still a starter, and maybe he has a solid year. Because, like you said, Kendrick Miller, they have no hope, and he's kind of like fizzling out. So they're going to be
I,
looking for
I've
a
never
running
seen a
back for
coaching
sure.
staff talk so much shit about a player, like, or like not even like shit. Like they just like don't say him as like they care about him at all as a player, which is just the weirdest thing. Like there's just nothing positive. That's the best way to say it. Like they have nothing positive to say about Kendrick Miller, which is like so weird considering that he's on your team.
So
Yeah.
my next pick in this, like looking at your stuff, I'm actually kind of like, is I want to see how Chuba Hubbard does. Like I don't know, man. Like he's had so much different hype, and like I've heard good things coming out of him. So I definitely I have him investments in a few leagues too, and with him having the starting role, and I'm hoping that I guess everyone over there, maybe it's like a new refresh in this. The Panthers are getting a new stadium soon. I think there's like a lot of buzz. Maybe with Carolina again, a new revamp with everything. So I don't know. I have him invested in a lot, and I want to see how the run game, especially with Brooks being out, and even when he comes back, come back from all his, these heavy injuries, can he be a solid, viable number one running back? That's what I'm interested
Okay.
in over there for sure.
Okay.
Now,
Um,
what's your third and
the third
final
one is
game?
is going to be the homer pick. So it'll be the Chicago Bears and the
Yeah,
Tennessee Titans.
I love it.
And I think we've talked a lot about it. Like Chicago's done an amazing job with that coaching staff and the GM of bringing in talent. Brought in Keenan Allen through trade, drafted Romadunze, signed DeAndre Swift. Also brought in Gerald Everett. I almost said Geverett. So yeah, they've done an amazing, weird mission of names, but yeah, they've done an awesome job kind of
It's
bringing in
okay.
talent and surrounding them around him. I think the two biggest question marks within the Bears is going to be their offensive line and defensive line, but I think they can be an elite defense. Honestly, I project them to be a top 8 defense. I would not be surprised if they're a top 5 defense within scoring and fantasy. So you can mark. You had a hot take. I would actually my hot take. I'll just go bold. I'll say they'll be a top 5 defense by the time the year is over. That defensive back room
Okay.
is absolutely phenomenal. They fly around. The hits principle is alive. They literally are like you watch the preseason game, even in the second and third string guys, like they're flying around the backfield, they're flying around wide receivers. They look like they're all hyped up, dude, and it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And then on the other side, the Titans, Will Levis has the opportunity now, another year of under his belt where he can kind of show like what he's really truly got. Um,
Yes.
Hopefully his moxie and his attitude has worn off a little bit, and maybe he'll take this opportunity. They've also, again, talking with Carolina, you've also got the Tennessee Titans that have kind of altered that or brought in some offensive weapons to give him more options. You have Calvin Ridley, who they signed, DeAndre Hopkins, who'll be back. He looks like he's ready for week 1. They brought in Tyler Boyd, your boy from Cincinnati. So they have a
I love
legitimate
him.
3 wide receivers that they have options for. Will also have nothing but options. So if he doesn't do it this year, it'll be pretty clear to the regime that he's not the quarterback that they need. They need to move on from him. And I do have quite a bit of shares. That's actually the quarterback that had the most amount of shares of in Dynasty is Will Levis.
Okay.
So I would love to see kind of if he can take the next step. And then in that backfield, Tajay Spears, and Tony Pollard. If you look at them in any draft, they're pretty much like going back to back, depending on what round they're in, but they're pretty
Agreed.
close to each other, if not 2 or 3, running backs beyond each other. It looks like it's Tony Pollard's backfield, but I would not be surprised if it's Tajay Spears by the time the season's over, or if it's a true 50-50 split. All that's kind of like up for question. But what do you think
Yeah,
about
for
that
sure.
game
I
in
agree.
specific, or about those
Yeah.
teams, I should say?
Well, I mean, I have shares in Caleb. I have DJ Moore shares. I'm like, I'm super heavily in. I like your Bears, bro. I do. I have Swift shares in certain leagues, so I'm excited, man. Like I said, this is it. Like I feel like this is your time, like the Bears' time to freaking step out and be like, we're here. We're really freaking serious. We're gonna take the division back. It's been a long
Dude, it
time.
could be.
Let's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's how I picture you guys out. Like you're gonna stand out there like with your chest out and like we're gonna show you what we are and this is real. Like anyone that made fun of Caleb for any reason, crying, this and that, he's gonna be like, listen, I am
Paint and
real. I'm
nails.
here.
Fuck
Yeah,
it.
man. Whatever he wants to wear, however he wants to act. When he gets on that field, it's all fucking business, and he shows off, and he's smacking people around, and he's throwing bombs, and doing crazy passes like he did in
Doing
preseason.
crazy shit.
By
Yes,
all,
yes,
by all
yes.
means, bro, do your thing, bro. So I'm excited for that game, highly,
Yeah.
bro. So you
And,
picked one that I'm invested in too. So love it.
and I honestly look at honestly, I think Keenan Allen's going to be the wide receiver 3 in that offense. I think by the time the season's up, I think it'll be DJ Moore, wide receiver 1. You're going to have Rome Odunze, wide receiver 2, and Keenan Allen will be the third fiddle. And that's one thing that, like, how are they going to utilize them? Is it going to be one person's going to get most of the shares, or is it going to be a pretty even split? Or is it going to be one of those games and teams where you have no clue who's going to be the lead dog from one week to another? So,
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, I think it'll be interesting. So I'm hyped. I'm hoping because I do live in Milwaukee, so usually if the Packers are on a Sunday during the same time slot, they'll show the Packers game. They won't show the Bears game. But now that the Packers are playing Friday night, I'm hoping that Sunday morning, the first game, they'll show the Bears, so I can watch it, live. Otherwise, I might have to do
I
a
hope so. Yeah.
NFL Network or something to get it at the game because I want to watch every throw. I want to watch every snap. I'm stoked about that game, man. It's gonna be awesome. All
All
right,
right, Matt.
what?
Let's give some people let's get some fantasy advice for some of the people. So let's get some individuals and what we really feel versus what they don't. People might be questioning. How's that sound?
All right, so you want to take the lead first?
Yeah. So Matt, I am invested in two players right now. And they're both on Vegas. I have Brock Bowers and Zamir White. Right. I got
Okay.
them at pretty good
Okay.
value. So we know there's a lot of question marks. Gardner's now the quarterback, which he could do well. Like we said, shout out to Roger for being the homer pick for that guy. Where do
Yeah.
you think you put Brock in that situation? Like, do you think he's a viable source being with his mixed play? And how do you feel about Zamir White overall in Vegas?
Again, like the Zamir White question, it's in my opinion, it's a big question of whether or not he's actually going to be the lead dog or if they're truly going to split that backfield. So I'm going to go with Brock Bowers first, just to kind of answer. He was drafted very highly. You hope that they're going to know how to utilize him. Brock Bowers in
Right.
that offense. The question is going to be with Gardner Minshew, who's known to be a gunslinger. He just kind of like he's like the fuck it, we're here now, YOLO type of mentality. So he might give him a lot of opportunities within that offense, but then he does have there's a second tight end there that they drafted the year before, which is just as good. So Michael Mayer was drafted last year. Brock Bowers obviously was drafted higher. And they're utilizing him in a lot of different sets. So in the preseason, they utilized Brock Bowers in the backfields as a running back. He actually got a run, which is what they did in college too. They kind of spread him all throughout the field: wide receiver, tight end, running back. Do a reverse or whatever the case may be. But I think Brock Bowers will be interesting to see just how much utilization they use besides just the tight end sets. Will be interesting to say. But for Zamir White, it's like you have Alexander Madison in the backfield, Amir Abdullah. They have a rookie that they like in Dylan Labe. So the real question that I have out of those two is probably how much utilization is Zamir White going to get? Is he really going to be the lead dog getting 60 to 65% of the runs, or is it going to be 30, 30, 30 with three different running backs, and each week is going to be a shit show. So I think Zamir is a little more volatile. I think I'm hopeful that he'll be the lead back. I have him quite a bit in Dynasty. I did draft him in a redraft league as well, kind of later on, just figuring, hey, he's supposed to be the lead dog, so we'll see how this goes. But I think that
Yeah. Yeah.
backfield is probably a bigger question mark than the Brock Bowers. What are you?
I appreciate that.
What's your thought on White? Or which one are you most worried about? How about that? Because you said you do have quite a bit of shares on them. So which one are you most worried
Yeah.
about?
I'll be honest with you, I'm more Zamir because I'm a little thin in running back in one of my bigger leagues and I have a lot of money in. So that's kind of my fear, I guess you can say.
Okay.
I got him at a good value where I picked him at. So I'm kind of like, all right, it was worth where I got him. But I'm just at the same time, like, is he what he's supposed to be? Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yep.
Like, is he going to get the starting role where they're putting him and everything else? So, I'm excited. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
That's my most
Okay.
fearful situation. I have a dog in my lap, so
Yeah,
apologize.
knocking the mic around.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna go personally to Kansas City Chiefs. I'm interested to see like how how the wide receiver group looks. You've got
Oh yeah, for
obviously Xavier
sure.
Worthy drafted high. You have Rashid Rice, who, to all extents and purposes, looks like he will be there the whole season. It doesn't look like a suspension's coming or looming anytime soon. So it'd be interesting to see, like, did they hit the ground running, or do they stumble like they did it last year? And also with the additions of Xavier Worthy, how does that affect Rashid Rice? Does it help him actually, because he's got somebody like Xavier Worthy that could take the top off, that can open up plays for him in the middle of the field. So the Chiefs is one that I'm interested to see how the two kind of shake out in that offense with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I'm with that 100%. I think that's great. Like that. The question is the receiving core. I'm big on Xavier Worthy. It's crazy because every time I try to get share, I get snubbed literally the round before it or someone before it. So,
Yeah.
I'm high on him. I'm excited to see how he goes.
Well, that's
Big
the
on
problem. That's the
him.
problem with doing these now. Is like, as I told you, I did
Dude,
one draft
snubs.
where I had Vic. Shout out to Vic. Vic showed me after we were done with the draft. It was a keeper league draft, and he showed that he had basically taken a screenshot of all three of the mock drafts that you and I did together, and where I picked players, and used that against me, knowing
That's great.
what players I was high on, and when I was like high on taking them, or when I was like usually had taken them. So yeah,
Yeah, of course.
we get sniped a lot now that we're kind of like under this microscope of telling people our opinions and sticking to them, actually, and not just saying it for clickbait. We're actually
Yeah, for
100%
sure.
in on these players and pick them very highly and have a lot of stock in them. So let's go to
Listen, I
rookies.
hope so.
Let's go to rookies really quickly, man. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Like I said, we can kind of, if you had any more thoughts too, just throw questions out, Pat. But
Yeah, well,
who's
rookies I
the
got.
who's the
Go
biggest?
ahead.
So go through. I was just going to say, like, who are the rookies that you're looking forward to the most in week one, and either helping or solidifying their positions and where you have them drafted, or just in general to see like how they actually utilized.
So I'm gonna go. I got three, and you know my three because I'm invested in them in multiple leagues. Keenan Coleman's one. Like we spoke on briefly before, how is he going to take the Diggs number one role because Curtis Samuel's there, really not like the
Yep,
big bang player. So can he take that role? I think he can. I've drafted him in a few redraft leagues. I think he looks phenomenal. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's got a funny personality. Kind of fits
it's
like a
quirky as
great,
hell, dude.
like I like it. Like he has a lot to go going for him. So I wish it well. And I really wish him well because he's on my team, but I want to see what he has, bro. Does he have the hands? Does he have the moves like to make
Can he
the big
separate?
plays? Which I think he
Can he
does.
separate?
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. A hundred
we'll
percent. I
see
agree with that. A
if he
million
can,
percent.
and with professional DBs on him, can he truly separate?
Yeah, a million percent, man.
So Keon
Then
Coleman's
the
one.
next
I
one
like that.
I've told you one. I'll go with this one next. Is Jalen Wright because he's only an injury away from getting big time role in Miami, and I think he will eventually because Mostert gets hurt or HM will get hurt. It's not of if, it's more of a when. So
Yeah.
I invested in him. He's on my bench. Listen, people are like, oh, you can drop him. I'm like, no. Clearly, you're not paying attention. You don't know what you're talking about. Keeping him, he's going to have some starting power very soon. And that's my opinion. So if you see him and he's one of those last picks, take him because he's going to be on a hand. He's like almost a handcuff at this point in time, if you
Yeah,
ask me.
for sure.
Then my last one, we all know it, and you like him, Jermaine Burton. Jamar Chase is making this even more of a kind of like a. You got to
Conversation.
look. Yeah, man. Like I said, if he doesn't play, which I'd be shocked and it breaks my heart with all these jerseys behind me. It's like really breaks my heart being such a homer to it.
All right, so we're pause on that. I'm going to interject and
Higgs,
ask you.
yeah,
I'm going to ask you one question. You're a betting man, right?
go for it.
What is
Yes,
your bet? You have to make a bet right now. Is he going to play week one, or is he not going to play Jamar Chase?
dude, he's got such a strong personality. If he really doesn't want to play, I don't think he's going to play. I think
You're
it's
a bet. You
weird
got
to
to make it.
say.
You got to make the bet. You got to make the bet.
If he doesn't get the bag, he doesn't play week one. I think he's going to flex so hard. He's like, after that
Okay.
comment, I think he has. I'm not saying it's the right move by any means because he's got 2 years left. Play the game next year, work it
So you
out.
think
Don't be the
unless he gets paid, he won't. So that's your
distraction.
bet. Unless he gets paid, he won't. He won't play.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. That's my
All right.
opinion.
All right.
Unless Joe makes the phone call and Burrow's like, bro, cut the shit. We're getting you paid. Just get in there. And then that's it.
I'm surprised he wouldn't have made the phone call
You
by
know,
now. I mean, it's like that's his boy from
I
LSU. Come on, dude. They're LSU
that's
Tigers.
what
Let's
I'm
go.
saying, dude. It blows my mind, man. But Jermaine Burton is someone to watch now. Higgins
I
will get. He's
100%
going to get
love
the
that.
bag
Yeah.
somewhere else. So
Yep.
Higgins moves over. Jermaine is gonna get the second spot for sure. The way it is, Irvin is a receiver. Jermaine Burton will outplay him any day. So you'll have Higgins at the 1 and Jermaine at the 2. So that stock will rise dramatically. Like if that waiver wire they see something, it's going to be like freaking green, 100% pick
Yep.
up. You know.
Yep. All right. I like it.
So
Is that your
that's
three?
my take, bro. Yeah,
Those
that's
are
it.
three. Okay.
Do you
I'm gonna
like it?
go. I do. I do. I mean, we've been doing this long enough, man. I know pretty much what your picks are gonna be, anyways. So it is what
Yeah,
it
for
is.
sure.
I think the one that I really want to one rookie tandem, we'll just call it that, is the wide receivers that were drafted for New England. So Jermaine Polk and Javon Baker. So um, they both were drafted pretty close to each other as far as the New England draft. I think one was second and fourth round, if I remember correctly. But what are they going to look like in that offense with Jacoby Brissett? Is one going to also get higher stock? You know, most people are drafting Polk higher than Baker. Javon Baker had an amazing combine. And during the draft process, his speed and everything showed out. So his stock rose dramatically during that time. Polk coming out of Washington was always looked at as like a pretty high end wide receiver. But how will that overall backfield wide receiver room pan out as the season progresses? The other one that I'll say is Roman Wilson. So, and I was loving Roman Wilson during the draft process, as you know. We've talked a lot about him coming out of Michigan with that offense and without the passes and the quarterbacks, not really wowing during the preseason. I'm really concerned about a wide receiver too in the Pittsburgh offense, and what he can truly become if he become anything, So a little bit concerned about that. He's had some injuries as well during the offseason, so would be interested to see kind of like how he ends up shaking out. The last one that I'm going to say, last two, I'll do a tandem here too, just because I like picking tandems.
Love it.
Everybody was loving Lad McConkey coming out. Like, oh, he's the only wide receiver in that offense. How much are they going to be passing? So just from a draft position of rookie drafts, Lad usually went ahead of Brian Thomas in Jacksonville. I always liked Brian Thomas quite a bit. I was surprised that Lad always went ahead of him, or typically went ahead of him. I could see Brian Thomas in the Jacksonville Jaguars offense as being, an elite option for them. So as being the wide receiver too behind Christian Kirk. So kind of the two of those and seeing how that plays out throughout the season. If I draft now, Brian Thomas to me goes ahead of McConkey, no doubt. I think that he's got a better opportunity. Yeah. I think coming out of Texas, he looked like the better prospect. Lad coming out of Georgia just looked like, he looked Mr. Reliable, play the slot, sure-handed catcher. So curious to see like how the two of those kind of pair out. Different teams, obviously, but just from a drafting rookie perspective and dynasty, they usually went back to back, and kind of seeing like how that truly does pan out. And then if there's any sleeper, there's always every year we look back and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy made it all the way to the third or fourth round. You mentioned Burton, I think is a huge call. You can have Braylon Allen and Blake Corum as other ones that were drafted in the third round of rookie drafts, where do they end up becoming the running back one in that offense due to injury? Obviously, Allen is behind Breece Hall, so maybe that doesn't necessarily happen. But Blake Corum being in LA, does he have an opportunity to take more of a lead role, or maybe he's a goal line back and gets a lot of points more than people are anticipating? So those are a few that I'm just like I think the excitement of the rookie draft class. We talked about this. I feel like it's one of the draft classes, probably one of the best ones in a while. So I think that's why there's just a lot of hype, and each team I think did a good job of getting different players at different value that can bring fantasy value to your team. So I just think just in general how that's going to end up playing out is also pretty exciting as well.
Matt, I'm throwing you a curveball right now.
Let's roll, man. Let's do it. What do we got?
All right. Give me a sophomore that breaks out this year.
Sophomore that breaks out, man. That's a pretty big curveball.
Because there's a solid group that you could pick right now from last year. I can see it from.
Since you asked a question, I'm going to pitch it to you first to give me a second to like truly go through.
All right, so my brain. I'm going to go JSN.
Okay.
So I
I could
think
see that. What do you
that
think
he
changed in that?
has a
In that?
lot. I think that they know that they have another running back. I mean, another wide receiver that could be absolutely a monster. A quarterback could be a monster with Sam Howell. So Sam
Yeah.
Howell being in the background with Geno Smith and everything. So yeah, I think there's a lot of change. A lot of people are moving around there, and I think this is his year. I really do. DK's still solid, so I think they'll be more aimed on that big, tall target like usual. So why not JSN step up and actually be like the Devontae, the T Higgins? Like I want to see that growth where he's like that big, valuable, big volume wide receiver.
Okay. Um.
So
Yeah, I think my biggest thing is like besides doing offensive coordinator change in Seattle, like he's still the third wide receiver in that
correct.
group. Are they still going to be able to utilize with Geno Smith as quarterback, or if that switches to Howell, like you love Howell, I know. Are they going to be able to utilize three wide receivers in that offense, or is it going to go back to running game offense? And how is that going to kind of look? The one thing, kind of looking back at it, is too, and both of these are quarterbacks. Um, I talked about him earlier, Will Levis. I'm interested to
Okay,
see. He had an up and down. It was rookie campaign. He came in towards the end, and then he had all last year. It's pretty much like the league guy towards the end of last year, and it was like, is he truly going to be able to become viable quarterback? I don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback. The one who I think is probably the biggest question everybody has is Anthony Richardson. Is he truly going to
for
be
sure.
that high end quarterback that everybody was anticipating and still drafting? If you look at how he's being drafted, a lot of people are still drafting him in rookie, or not rookie, but in startup dynasty leagues. They're still drafting Anthony Richardson very high. And sometimes
Oh yeah,
he's quarterback 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, but still, that's a lot of risk. You talked about his injury. We talked about that earlier. He had an injury. He had injuries throughout college with his shoulder. He doesn't mind throwing his body weight into it. He doesn't mind putting his body on the line. Is his body going to be able to hold up? Is one question.
dude.
And the second,
Matt, I'm
yeah,
gonna
go
interrupt you
jump
one
in.
way.
Yeah, go ahead.
One big dude that's invested in him is our friend Howell because he took him in my league as his number one quarterback. Like this is it. And for Howell to take that, that's bold, bro. Because usually he's like very goes with the old reliable kind of feel,
Yep.
and for him to go out with that, that's huge, bro. That's a huge.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
Yeah. I mean, and again, going back to, is he, people are drafting him like very highly. We talked about that, but then he can even, his passing, he didn't look that great in the regular season or preseason. Sorry. Can he actually sustain a true passing offense, or is he just going to be, another runner? And is he just going to, is that what is his game to be based on? And then he'll pass occasionally. But going back to Levis, it's like, he started out the year on the bench as his rookie. He came in with a lot of macho and a lot of ego. And hopefully, after them having Tannehill and starting Tannehill over him last year, and then, everything that happened in that offense, and then switching to him mid-season, and he looked like decent. His first game, I think he had 4 passing touchdowns his first game in week 8. Will Levis, that
Yep.
is, and that was everybody's like, holy shit, maybe he is really that good. And then he kind of started throughout the rest of the season, had a couple of decent games after that, but not really great. So yeah,
Correct.
those
Yeah.
two
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
quarterbacks that I love to see from that perspective of like, can they truly show up? We talked about Bryce Young. That's another third one you can kind of throw out there. I think this draft
I
class,
like that.
when it was being drafted, I think the quarterbacks in this draft class were very highly thought of. Will obviously could probably say is the weakest one of them, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of
I
them
can
really
see that.
showed up. So it's like I'd love to see kind of where they can actually play out. You have a couple that already broke out last year, like Rasheed Rice, Sam Laporta. So obviously those, no question there. But then looking at it, it's like you look at this draft class and you look towards the second and third round, and it's like there's a lot of like duds that just like have an opportunity next year or this year to break out. Are they really going to take advantage of it? Tajay Spears, we talked about. Is he truly going to take over that backfield in Tennessee? Um, Chase Brown, third round pick in a lot of rookie drafts last year. Will he take over your
Yes.
Cincinnati defense running
I was
back?
waiting for that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my head. To be honest with you, I was like, is he going to say Mr. Chase? I can't say all of my home picks, but we have similar taste, and you know what's going on. But dude, I just threw it out there because I think
No,
there's a
I
lot
love
of
it.
sophomores. Sophomores have a lot to prove this year, and I
It's funny
think
that the
that
longer. Go ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead. No,
No,
I
no,
was
no.
just saying that it's just good to see that can we see the growth and development, especially in the quarterback play, like you said? Like, and that was my other one. And like, since you were touching on Will Levis before, I kind of had a feeling you were going to bring him up also because he has a whole new cast around him too. They really gave him a lot of different weapons and
Yep.
different views with new running backs. So they're trying to. Sometimes it's nice to see a refresh. It's like, all right, well, here, Will, the keys are
Yeah.
yours. Here's some new toys. Work with them in the preseason. See what you guys can create. Can you get like
Yeah, and
continuity between everybody?
he looked pretty decent in the preseason. So I think that's a great question. I mean, just some of the
Yeah.
sophomore breakouts. I think always excited about the new shiny toy. So we always talk about rookies. We kind of skip over, but there's a lot of people who underperformed last year as rookies themselves. And can they actually turn around this year? So I think that's very viable. I think the other one that stands out is, and he's got a lot of hype in preseason, is Josh Downs in Indianapolis, the wide receiver that's going on his sophomore campaign.
And
Will
dude,
he
can
be
I
able
tell you,
to?
he's getting drafted super late. Like, I mean, he's
That's
one
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
last. Like, I'm
But you
like
hear the hype.
shocked. I'm like,
You hear the hype, and it's like there's a lot of
yeah.
hype for him coming out of Indianapolis. It's not even hype about like fantasy people talking about it. It's like even in training camp, I'm talking about like he just looks like he's so much more improved from where he was last year. Will that actually hold up? Will that continue? So,
I
yeah, I mean,
agree
there's
with that 100% on that one, dude. Like, I love that one actually. Josh Downs' take is big.
yeah, because again, I think that'll only help Anthony Richardson if Anthony Richardson is going to end up being this elite quarterback, more from the rushing perspective. People look at him as elite just because of what he can bring, but also from a passing perspective, he can even be a decent quarterback. He's going to need somebody besides, wide receiver one. He's going to need all the wide receivers in that room, running backs to kind of step it up and to take on more of a workload and help him with that. Not just besides Michael Pittman, like I said, Josh Downs, and how does that whole thing kind of come to fruition?
I mean, think about it. His overall, ADP is like 175. That's pretty
Oh
crazy,
wow,
bro.
that is
That's
nuts.
that's
But
that's where he's at right now, and they have him like at like a
he's almost undraftable in most redraft leagues.
yeah, like wide receiver 69. It's crazy. Like they have him. It's pretty crazy when you're the number 2 on the team.
Yeah. Well, because
So
they don't know what that offense is going to hold and how
yeah,
much
agreed.
passing there truly is going to be and how much Michael Pittman's just going to feed versus everybody else in that room. So we'll go
Great.
out.
I like
Let's do
that.
one last question. We'll just do a quick one real quick.
Sure.
What I'm trying to think about looking at what backfields are you? We kind of talked about that, so I don't really want to go into that. What person or team are you most, or do you have most stock in as far
This
as
year.
like that's your the most worried about? How about that? That like could go sideways if like things do not go as you anticipate.
So I'm gonna base a lot on my big money draft. I have other drafts, but this one means a lot. I have one this coming Tuesday, and then mine was the other on Saturday. So I'm gonna break it down to like 3 spots.
Okay,
Houston with Stroud.
I
I have a
how much?
lot of value
Okay,
in Stroud.
you do have a lot
So
of Stroud. You've been all on the Stroud like
it,
board this whole offseason, I
yeah,
guess. Yeah,
big, and I've been
yeah,
on
yeah.
it. How does he distribute the ball? Is going to be big, and can he? I want him. He has to stay healthy. Also, you know what I mean. I don't want any issues. I need like keep him upright. You know what I mean.
Yep.
That's a big deal because there's a lot of hype going around him. My next one I'm going to go with is the Jets because I have Garrett Wilson now, and like I'm really starting like that's a big investment for where I put him. I
Yep.
picked him 119. That's big for me, and I passed over AJ Brown for him, and I'm like, I just see it. Like I said, and I told you 14 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have done a lot
You
more
said
before that.
15,
I
actually.
saw
I
the
think you
15. All
said
right,
15. You said 15.
14, 15. There's been a lot. There's been
Yeah.
about, just so you know, Matt, like, and even the past few years, it's been like a lot. They've done a lot, actually, to be honest with you. They've had, I think it's like, 20, 18, like, Devontae Adams had a game. There's a huge list. I went through them all. So it's
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay.
And then if Aaron Rodgers just stays healthy and that line can keep him upright, that's what I'm really worried about the Jets' offensive line, to be honest with you. That's my biggest concern with that. It's crazy because when you're drafting in certain spots and in certain things, they all got to work together. Matt, people forget like how good's the line? Because if the line can't hold, the running
Oh, yeah.
game is shot and the guy can't throw. So
You don't have time to throw,
all his
you're
plays,
screwed.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're screwed. And then this guy might break a leg. You know what I'm saying? So I need Garrett Wilson to have a great year. And my last one that I'm concerned about, and I want to say, not really super concerned, but can he hold the pace? Is Derrick Henry? He's in a
Okay.
new era, new spot, first time ever. can he handle with Baltimore? Like, is he, how is he blend in with Lamar? Does Lamar sit back and sit more of a throw? Or is he going to still be wanting to run as much as he did? Or is like, we got Derrick Henry here, bro. You don't have to do
Right.
all that
We don't need
extra
to get
work.
killed, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it. We want to keep you safer, and people get hurt all the time. Let Henry be the bell cow, and he's just going to mow everyone down anyway. So those
Yeah.
are kind of like, more or less where I'm at with some of the
I'm gonna
leagues and where I'm drafting in.
I'm gonna piggyback on one of the ones that you said, but on a
Sure.
different. So it's on the Houston, but it's more on the Dig side. Dynasty specifically. Everybody's even drafting Stephon Diggs pretty highly, even in redrafts.
Yeah.
Is Stephon Diggs at 30? Is he still going to be Stephon Diggs, or is it finally at this point? He fell off both last year and the year prior. Towards the end of the season, he fell off his stats. He complained it was because he wasn't getting the ball, they weren't targeting him. But was there something more to that? So that's probably one of the biggest ones that I have the question on. Is just where is that in his career, and is this like the pinnacle or the end of his career where he's definitely like falling off the cliff? So he's probably the first one that jumps out at my mind. We talked about this other guy a couple of times, DeAndre Swift. He had an amazing year for fantasy last year when he was in Philadelphia. He's now Chicago at that
Mm-hmm.
backfield. They've showcased him quite a bit during the preseason games, but is he truly going to be the RB1 in that backfield? There's you could argue three running backs in that backfield that could easily be an RB1. Maybe not Herbert. Maybe Khalil Herbert is not RB1, but Rashawn Johnson, they drafted him in the second round, or third round, I guess. So what does that look like for Rashawn? And then, are they going to keep Herbert on the team, or are they going to trade him halfway through the season? So look at that. And then we kind of talked about this guy previously. So not to go back to the well, but, I don't have shares with him, but Bryce Young, it's just a shame. Like, you hope that Bryce Young will actually do something this season, because there's a lot of offensive, viability within fantasy that's based on him being able to do something. So if he can't,
Yes.
it could really tank a lot of prospects that we have, and a lot of, ideas and thoughts of what we have as far as fantasy points and perspective. And it would just be a shame for that organization who spent a lot to draft him if it turns out that like he's not even that good of a quarterback and they wasted all
Yeah.
the
Agreed.
capital. I mean, the Bears still have another second round pick next year from him, from that draft and from the trade. Not only did they get Caleb Williams, they got DJ Moore. They also got a second round pick next year, and then they got
Dude,
another couple picks that they got out. It's like they're going to go down in history. If Bryce Young is not the quarterback of the future for Carolina, it's going to go down as like one of the worst trades in NFL history, probably.
agreed. And can I tell you this? I'm like an undercover Bears fan for you, bro, because
I know
I'm rooting
it's.
for you. I got a
I gotta
lot with
stop.
you.
I gotta
Like,
stop the Homer Bears conversation.
no, but it's true though, because I mean, dude, Caleb looked great, and let's hope it for you and for your sake. And honestly, the Bears, man, they can use it, bro. Got a
Yeah,
new stadium coming up. It looks great. You
hopefully,
showed me the
hopefully.
renderings.
Yeah,
Like you
hopefully.
have a lot of good coming. So maybe Caleb can just rally you guys up and be like, we're here. And they're like, all these people are like, you know what? We like this, bro. And then just
Yeah,
take over that damn division for once again. It's tired. Like, no more
yeah.
Vikings. No more
Amen, brother.
cheeseheads.
I
Like,
got
just keep it rolling for you,
I
bro.
got two more that I just want. We're gonna end it with this one, and it's
Go
two
for it.
more that like are scary. So Justin Jefferson in that offense,
Oof.
we mentioned it
Yeah.
before. Is he going to be the JJ that he was in the past, the Jet? It's scary, man. Sam Darnold throwing them the ball really is scary. And then the other one, is in Giants, with Malik Neighbors. And Malik Neighbors
Ugh.
has an amazing talent, an amazing prospect. But
He needs more. He deserves so much
but
better, bro. That poor kid.
Danny Dimes
Yeah.
throwing the
There's no
ball,
way.
like how much is that going to hurt him?
Can I
So
tell
it's
you what
like,
I'm scared about with that situation, bro? And I'm being real
yeah,
with
it's
you.
the strip, dude. We're ripping, man. Come on.
I feel like he's gonna overthrow this kid and he's gonna get fucking clipped
Killed. He's
so
going to get fucking
hard.
killed. I think
Like
he's going to get
he's gonna
killed.
be stretched out. You see this guy all the way out and
Yeah.
grabs it, and then it's just gonna get clapped. I mean, I'm like, this
Yeah.
poor kid is just gonna get like, there's gonna be two people just going at him. He's just gonna get sandwiched and smoked. I just like, because I'm watching those preseason games plus the practicing over here in New Jersey. I'm like, he's constantly overthrowing him, or he's going to be leaning in too soft, and you're going to have this one guy hitting him helmet to helmet. I could just, I'm not even trying to be a Debbie Downer to it, but Daniel Dimes has no accuracy. His accuracy is freaking horrible, bro.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about for him. And you don't want fucking Danny DeVito over there throwing the ball either. He ain't much better. You know
No,
what I mean? Or
no.
Tommy DeVito, whatever his name is. Danny DeVito's the actor,
you,
but yes, you know what I'm saying.
you fucking hate DeVito, dude. It's
Oh,
so
dude,
funny.
DeVito's trash bag, bro. Fuck. Cornball. I just hate the
But
agent. I think that's what
yeah,
made
I
me
mean,
hate
it's
him
just
more.
it's scary with where they're being drafted. Both those players, with where they're being drafted. Justin Jefferson obviously is immense talent. Quarterback
Yeah,
room is I mean, it just looks really bad. And then you go back to the Malik Neighbors conversation where he's also being drafted very high in redraft. And is that even worth it? Like, is he going to be? Is at the end of the season, is he going to be 5-10 spots lower when you look at where he actually plays versus where people drafted him? And is that going to end up tanking somebody's fantasy season because they took a risk on him?
sure.
So
And this is where I get also nervous with Las Vegas for me with Bowers and Zamir White, bro. Like,
yeah,
what's Gardner really going to do for me? Can Gardner get the ball out?
and
Where's
even that
Brock
Devontae
Bowers? What's
Adams
he going to
too.
end up? You know, and Devontae
Devontae's
Adams
still
is
being
there.
drafted
Like,
really high.
you know, people think he's going to be traded still to the Jets. I've been hearing that all the time. I mean, who the hell knows what that will bring? I really don't really care. But for now, you got to work with what you have. And then, you know, like I said, that I have Brock Bowers shares and I do have Zamir White shares. So and I've taken them pretty decent, like, you know, at value, but still, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
got to use it. So I'm like, do I sell now? Do I avoid the stress of the season? I've thought about it. I'm like, for the most part, when I pick someone, I usually have confidence in my picks, so that's the reason why.
yeah.
So I'm probably gonna ride it out.
Process over players. Yeah, you got to believe in the process. You got to believe in what you see, why you drafted them, where you drafted them, and not sell short. At least play it out. I mean, I have some
Correct.
people that are trying to already like with conversations that we've had already trying to get me to sell on players, and I'm like, no, man, I'll wait until the season, and then if it's bad, then we can have a conversation. But or if my
Yeah,
team's
for
bad,
sure.
then I'll start selling off. But hold your loins. Don't sell things too cheap, and it's a long season. It's the biggest thing to remember. Pat hit on the
And
earlier.
I got another great draft thing you need to watch, and I people don't realize this more that they should. Keep an eye on your fucking bye weeks. I mean,
Oh yeah,
I know a
yeah.
few people, bro. Let me tell you something. Week 6, it's got some heavy teams in it. Gonna be brutal. Like you're almost taking the loss week 6. You can almost just scratch it off. I'm just being honest with you. Week
But
6, week
sometimes
12.
it's like
I've
if it's
seen
one
some. I'm
week,
like,
honestly, I'd rather take a loss on one week and have my whole entire team be on bye, and then not have to worry about the rest of the season. So
yeah, but you can't have that where you have like half your team on 6, half your team on 10. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
then
you
you can
can't be
start.
like
You're
split like
really
that. Yeah,
thinning out on
yeah,
certain weeks. Like so, people don't realize that. I that's just draft advice from me to you. Please look at your bye weeks when you look at it. I know it's not a big deal. Just look at the number next to the guy. That's all you
yeah.
got
It's
to
quick.
do. And
It's
be like,
easy.
wow. I mean, it's not like it's. But if there's value, you're going to take it regardless. But if it's an extreme amount, or where you're like, wow, I got everyone in
Or if you're
six.
weighing between
Six
two players
yeah,
that are pretty even, then you look at the bye week, and that's a determining
you
factor. That's
got to
how I
look at the
usually
bye
do it.
weeks. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
ADP, bye week, all of it value. Just you know what I mean. And like I said, Matt's always said it too. Stick with your guns, man. If you like it, take it,
hell yeah,
and sometimes take best value, bro.
hell yeah.
That's my
All right,
thoughts.
Pat. You got anything else to say before we pow out? Hit the like and
Good luck
subscribe
on
down
yeah,
below.
like, subscribe. Good luck on your draft tonight. I know you got one.
Oh yeah,
Take it
yeah, yeah.
home.
Hell yeah.
Repeat again, bro. Smack
It's
them up for
Ronnie's
me.
league.
Yeah, bro.
I'll have to hold the trophy while I'm drafting because I've got a
Yeah,
trophy in
have it
that
next to you
league.
the whole time, bro. It's right
Yeah,
there
it's
next to
actually
me.
not. It's
Leave it
not
right
one of the
next
ones
to you.
behind me, but
There you go.
oh yeah.
Love it.
It's funny. Those are all from my leagues, and currently I'm not a champ in any of those leagues, but I still hold on to them. So there's that. But until next time, peace. We're out.